Right, so we're going to get this out of the way quickly before we're getting in for On a Snod.
Yes.
Have you checked
On
them?
a snod. No, I think they're fast.
Yeah. Ross, we were staying tonight, was saying they're chaotic.
Right.
Is the
yeah,
word.
yeah.
So
I like churchgoers earlier. They were
I missed
chaotic.
them. I got there just after they played. So
Yeah, the singer had a heresy shirt on. I thought, oh, I hope they sound like heresy. And
They
kind of did.
He was saying it was like heresy back in the day, and then he kind of went off on a rant about how heresy is shit on record, and if you didn't see him live, then
you wouldn't understand. Yeah, that's right. They never did capture it on vinyl.
Anyway,
yeah.
So you just smashed a set out with Zero again.
Yep.
Managed to grab you just quickly. Thanks for doing it. As I said, where to fucking start with you? Because it's almost like the life that you've lived, you've kind of positioned yourself as like a kind of a hardcore oracle now. Of sorts.
Yeah.
Like if anyone was wanting to do anything, be it putting out a record, recording the record, touring, just every aspect of the scene, going into the zine side of things, the journalism aspect of things, writing. You've basically thrown yourself into every quarter of that and kind of owned it all. It felt like the music thing, as we were saying earlier, that Stamping Ground was probably where you've probably made your strongest impact.
Yeah, definitely. That was the most popular band, I think, when you look at like YouTube views and
for the
Spotify
things you've got to do as well.
Yeah,
I've seen you've continued to play the festivals over the years, still getting around Europe and what have you. But it felt like Stamping Ground was seeing you guys do your thing it was a fucking beautiful thing. So it was like one of ours made it, and one of ours was doing all of the things that everyone always wanted to do.
Yeah, it was special, and I mean we played a lot of gigs, so I think that's the biggest difference now is rather than playing 100 gigs a year, playing like two dozen.
The selective.
Yeah.
So like today we're playing fucking the gig of
and
for a lot of people the gig of the years.
And we were obviously a lot younger and a lot fitter, and my knees and ankles weren't shot, so it was like we're kind of like a sports team coming to town, when we're at the peak of our powers.
It was the trademark jumps you had back in the day.
Yeah, but it was great. It was a great time, and I'm still in touch with those guys.
Yeah.
So we're all still on very amicable terms, which is quite nice.
Yes, yeah.
Because we had our moments when we weren't amicable to each other, but we are.
It is the way it is when bands go south, but we've all been there. But one of the lads is your cousin?
Yeah, Mobs is my cousin.
Mobs, and you've basically been in the mix with him since the very beginning, I understand?
Yeah, so he taught me to play bass. And he was in the first band I was in, Decadence with him. Well, he's in all the bands then. Burnside, Stamping Ground, Betrayed by Many. Oh, Ammonia 77. That was like literally a very, very first
To give it its
band.
legit name.
Yeah.
Pubic Lice.
Wow, that was in the mix. But then we only did like 10 gigs with Ammonia 77, and then Decadence with him was our first real band where we recorded and toured and went to Europe. Because going to Europe was like a really special thing in the 80s. You read about it and you wanted to do it because all the UK bands.
So Decadence, just to go back to it, Decadence within '84 kicked off.
Yeah, '84. I think the first gig was in '84.
Yeah.
And it ran through to 94, which is when we started Stamping Ground. In fact, the first Stamping Ground gig was the day after the last Decadence Within gig. Oh shit,
really?
Yeah, so we did the last Decadence Within gig.
Yeah.
Can't remember where that was. Probably blotted it from my mind. And then the first Stamping Ground gig was the next day at the one in 12.
Oh, sick.
So,
was that a good gig or just a regular?
Yeah, it was brilliant. The first Stamping Ground one, we kind of knew it was, we sort of knew we were onto something, like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Heath was an angry fella.
Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah, no, he was a great frontman.
Yeah. And by then we were already on our second drummer and our second guitarist and stuff before we'd even got to play live, so we kind of honed our sort of chops, and I think I think we went down really well, and everybody seemed excited by it, so it's like, oh, okay, complete opposite to Decadence Within. They sort of fizzled out because no one was excited about us anymore. So it was.
That's like every band I've ever done. Is just like people it's been too fucking weird for whatever reason.
Yeah, but Zero Again's weird. I mean, we deliberately you know, we deliberately made Zero Again different to our other bands. You know,
it's a strange one to take in because, like, if you're kind of a purist for the fast, then when you hit those notes, it is done in the most, you know, straight up credible as fuck. It's seriously fucking great. But like a lot of the set, as you say, it was dalliances. There's a lot of melodic leads. There's sort of the mid-paced stuff. But it's all with an equal level of intensity. It all kind of is equally engaging.
Yeah, I mean, we're still angry. Still got a lot to say.
Yeah,
you know, still
but just a lot older.
Play with intent, and we can play better as well. So it's now like, so if we want to play something in triple time, we can, and you know, it's that being able to pull stuff off really that maybe we couldn't have done before. But yeah, I've got no desire to repeat myself sort of musically.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
You know, it's just to see where we could take it next really, and plus it's playing with 3 totally different guys for the first time.
Yeah.
We've all sort of like ships in the night on the underground punk circuit. You know, aware of each other and seeing each other's bands, but to play together, you know, it obviously is a completely different dynamic, you know, and it's
a special thing. I think a lot of people underestimate the value of just connecting as people, and sometimes that is more important than what you can actually achieve as a band.
Yeah.
That it's just finding the right people to coexist and do things with.
Yeah. And I mean, we're really prolific, so it sort of suggests that, you know, that chemistry is good, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, we've only been together 2 years or something. We've already recorded 30 songs. So,
but like with you, it's prolific meets, it's like prolific inception almost.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to wrap it up soon because I can hear the band is about to kick it off. But just quickly, I guess, there are a lot of young'uns that are kicking about in the scene, and not to be like sort of the generic, if you could talk to your younger self, but like in a very real sense, because of, as I say, the hardcore oracle aspect of what you've learned over the years, going into, say, stepping into the studio for the first time, engaging with a label, going on tour, anything in the world. If you could say like maybe 3 quick things to young'uns that are like the lads that were on stage earlier tonight.
Right, yeah. I think one important thing is to not take criticism personally, you know, because you can really vanish down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know, especially with social media now. It wasn't so bad back then. You know, you'd read a bad review, but now like people are so fucking toxic online, and I think everybody's got an opinion, so I don't bother sharing my opinion online. But yeah, don't take it personally, bad reviews. In actual fact, take it as an incentive to do something, you know, to really go for it. With the writing, I've always said, try and write something every day.
Yes.
So if I'm working on a book, I always do something to progress that book. So today I spent most of the day in the car, but I have tracked down one of the bands that I've been searching for.
Oh,
and it's all been going on, like, you know, messaging people on Facebook and stuff like that, and I've caught up with them. So I gave him my email address. So although it's a really tiny thing, you know, you just keep moving the project forward.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with a book, you hit a brick wall. You know, quite a lot of brick walls along the way, and you've just got to keep chipping away at them, you know. And I think,
how about touring?
I mean, we've done great tours and we've done terrible tours.
Think to the early tours and the lessons you learned, though.
Yeah. I've always, the one thing Stamping Ground always did is we never burnt any bridges. So even if it was a bad gig and the promoter was a dick and we didn't get on with the other bands, we never burnt any bridges with anyone. Like it was like, you know, you never know when you're going to cross paths with them again. You're going to turn around and say, oh, I need to borrow your bass because I just broke a string, like, you know. So we were always like super respectful. You know, it's just about treating people how you would like to be treated, really. And I think that was a Stamping Ground toured. The other thing we used to do is we would play to 5 people as if we're playing to 500 people.
Yeah, the old roll-ins.
Yeah, and I remember like rolling into Redditch on a Tuesday night, and the only advertisement was their name written in chalk on a board outside the venue.
Yeah.
And there was literally no one there. There was like 2 people paid to get in, and we played so hard we broke the stage. You know, we went absolutely berserk and broke the stage. And the promoter was like, "That was amazing. I gotta get you back." I think we went back and we played to like 20 people.
Yeah.
But the third time we went back, the place was full, you know, and we just tried to take it in our stride, you know, didn't get disheartened, but we always played, you know, as if it was the last time we were going to be playing together, you know.
Yeah.
And really that was why I left the band, was because I think I stopped feeling that urgency, like.
Okay.
And and I think it kind of coincided with when we signed up with a management company.
Ah, okay.
And I'd always been the one that had done most of the legwork, like booking the gigs and, you know, sorting out loads of stuff out, like not everything because everybody mucked in. But when, you know, it felt like it was the right time to
hand over the reins.
To go with a management company. But it also felt like the right time for me to step away from it because it wasn't something I was comfortable with. So I guess that's another lesson, is, you know, when it stops being fun, you know, stop doing it, or when you stop being comfortable with it, be self-aware enough to know
the journey's
that
ended.
It's time to sort of.
And speaking of which, let's piece it out with because. Jesus Christ, as an author alone, just as I say, band-wise, I mean, can you quickly just list off the bands?
Yeah, so Ammonia 77, Decadence Within, Burnside, Stamping Ground, Suicide Watch, Betrayed by Many, Human Error,
Pink Flux,
Pink Indians, Freebase.
Yeah, was that as a stand-in or?
No, I was kind of actually their bassist for about a year, and we did quite a few gigs in the 7-inch and a bit of touring. 36 Strategies, War Wound, and Zero Again.
And then, to present day.
Yeah, so I think it's 12 or 13.
From that, and then as I say, with the label-wise, there were 20 releases that came out when you were doing the record label. But to the author side of things, and aside from being a journalist with Terrorizer for what, 25 years?
25,
yes. So aside from all of that, now an author of 9 books.
Yeah, 9 books. Working on the 10th. Which
been chronologically working through the UK sort of punk and hardcore scene. So what's the next book then? Or was it the Anarcho sweep up?
So it's kind of a sweep up. So the first 2 books, which were Burning Britain and The Day the Country Died, were the first half of the 80s. This is going back to the 80s, but it's the really obscure bands that only did demos, only appeared on compilation albums, only self-released 1 EP or something. And to me, their story is just as important as the bands that did 10 albums, you know, because they were the bands that were booking those bigger bands in their town. You know, they were like this essential part of the fabric of the scene, really. And so I wanted to catch up with some of those. So I'm aiming for like about 150 of those really obscure bands.
So do you reckon there might be a companion with that for like the recordings? Because I can only assume they're basically impossible to get a hold of.
Well, if it wasn't for the internet, they would be, but it's amazing, you know, so many of these bands, since I've done the interview, have like put
got their stuff online
on page up and put their stuff up online. But I think I would like to do like a compilation album or something.
Yeah.
Probably it'd have to be a compilation CD. Or a double CD.
And finally, very, very final question, because I can hear they're fucking playing now. Right. You've said that the impetus behind kicking off the book series at the beginning of the 2000s was the American hardcore book that came out, or one of the sort of inspiration for it, alongside other things.
But that is true.
Yeah. Obviously, following that book, there was that incredible documentary that came out. Have you been approached, or have you got thoughts on anything of like a documentary type thing, like an all-encompassing or anything at all? Because
like a film type thing.
Basically, Or just, have you had any? Has there been anything?
And
if there hasn't, why the fuck not?
Well, when I did the Anarcho book, Day the Country Died, a guy called Roy Wallace from Belfast he did a film, and he was working on a film about anarcho-punk.
Because they had the Warzone Club over
that's
there,
right, yeah. So Roy was involved in that. I think he was involved in Toxic Waste and stuff, the band. And he was making a film, an anarcho-punk film, documentary. And we kind of hit on the idea that if he called it The Day the Country Died, and the front cover of the DVD was the same as the front cover of the book, it would be like cross-pollination, you know. So he did that, and I did some interviews, and he redid a few extra interviews, you know, to sort of tie it in with the book a bit more. So that was kind of a documentary. And then I got interviewed for that Channel 4 documentary, Soak the Stamps or something it was called.
I didn't catch that.
That was like a 20-30 minute film about the underground punk scene, you know, where everybody used to soak the stamps so they could reuse them and stuff like that. Okay. And that was interviews with bands like the Stupids and
sick.
Extreme Noise Terror and I can't remember
early
else,
era stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like the late 80s UK hardcore scene it was.
Yeah.
So there was that. I mean, I kind of probably stick to what I know, really. I mean, I don't like talking to cameras. In fact, I don't like to say my own voice.
If there was a team out there that was like wanting to work on something like that, I guess you would be the ideal consultant.
Yeah. I'd certainly, you know, throw my hat in the ring and try
because
and make it the best thing
there've been a few things over the years. I remember there were a few UK hardcore type things, but there hasn't been, as I say, the all-encompassing entire history type thing. Yeah, and it feels like it's a definite
It'd be such a huge project, but
worthwhile though.
Yeah, I mean, I do get approached by that sort of thing. I mean, the most recent thing I got asked about was they're doing a UK 82 theme for 3 months at the Punk Rock Museum in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, oh, you're a UK 82 expert, can you come over and curate it or whatever? And I was like, I don't really think punk belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
You know, so...
There is that, but do you ever also feel that, I don't know, do you ever feel that you're not actually the knowledgeable old head that people are telling you that you are? Do you ever feel that you're still a new kid?
Yeah, all the time.
Because I've felt that, and it's something which I've talked to a few other people about, and from listening to you talk on your entry into the scene, like, even though you got into it at super young age, and you got into it super early with, like, if I was to, like, categorize, say, the generations of punk kids in the UK, or hardcore kids, however you want to term it, you'd be within the first generation. I'd say the first generation was like 74 to 84.
Yeah, right.
You're within that. Like, I'm probably third generation.
Right.
But as I say, there's that thing within us sometimes that, and maybe it speaks to like being humble, but like there are those personalities you can see sometimes. You can see they never thought they were a New Jack. Like on day one, they were like, I own this shit, you know?
Yeah.
We all know who they are, but like it's...
I definitely didn't feel like that, you know. When at the first punk and hardcore gigs I went to, I was terrified. You know, I was hiding in the corner.
I was terrified of this one. I texted our lass earlier. I was like, I'm on my own and awkward. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah. But you know, it's like, you know, there's a new breed of hardcore now, and if you're not in the thick of it with your finger on the pulse, you can suddenly there's all these new bands that you don't know about.
Shouts to Damaged Goods in Leeds. It's a new practice space up in the hood, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just like all of the gigs are kicking off there. There's a whole scene that's coming out of just the bands that all exist from there.
Yeah, it's great. You can see that, you know, you can go play. Well, I was just talking to Linz from Tide Down, who sings for Unified Action now, and he was saying, you know, you can go to Newcastle and you can play the Lubber Fiend, is it? And it's a young crowd, and you can play this other venue and it's an old crowd.
Oh wow!
And it's almost like two separate layers of the same scene. Like, I definitely would like to go and play both venues because
do it in the same fucking day.
Yeah.
Just talk about each other's venues. I was just over it.
Yeah, score them. Yeah, that's right. But So you know, it's always a learning curve. You know, every day's a school day, and it's true. Like, you know, because I discover new bands I'm excited about. I mean, the last band that just played, I can't remember their name.
Great. They were from the Netherlands.
Never heard of them before. Never seen them before, and thought they were amazing.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll be checking them out, and you know, that's a great feeling that you still get excited when you see a new band, especially when you've been like going to gigs since 1980. It's like, how can you still be getting excited about it? But
Right, let's get in there and check them out. Thank you for that.
No worries. Nice to speak to you, mate.